Hi everyone, Roxanne Sasha here, also known as the Resilient Mum. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me for day 7 of our Bible study. So today we are going to be looking at Genesis chapter 16 verses 1 to 6. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, bare him no children, and she had an handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold now, the Lord hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar her maid, the Egyptian. After Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram to be his wife, he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. And Sarai said unto Abram, My wrong be upon thee. I have given my maid into thy bosom. And when she saw that she had conceived, I was despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between me and thee. Verse 6 and last. But Abram said unto Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarai dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. In today's passage that we've looked at, we can see that the issue of waiting and patience also occurred in biblical times. Sarai had an issue with waiting, just like many of us today. Many of God's children sometimes ask God, God, when? I see it often on social media when someone posts an engagement video or they post a wedding video and people always say, God, when? When is it my time? It is said that we are now living in a sort of microwave generation, meaning a generation that expects instant results. When you're preparing a meal, you can either choose to cook the meal, or sometimes, depending on what the meal is, you can put it in the microwave or even the air fryer for quicker results. Not many people are prepared to wait anymore for things. It's sad, but it's true. Sometimes many people struggle with waiting and they're not always open to waiting because it's about the unknown. You're just waiting, you're trusting, you're waiting, and you're believing that something is going to happen. On the contrary, it could be that you're waiting and you're not sure when it's going to happen. And it's that uncertainty that often people struggle with, the not knowing, the unknown. Sarai grew tired of waiting on God to be a mother. She grew tired of waiting. She was getting older, time was going by, and she knew that as she got older, her mobility may have decreased. She may not have been as young as she would have liked to be in order to have her children. She could have also been worrying about the fact that as she gets older, with potentially decreased mobility and also the other things that come with becoming older and aging gracefully and beautifully in the Lord. But she could have also been worrying about the fact that she may not remember things that happened with her child. She also may have been worrying that when she reaches a certain age, she couldn't have had children. She was also potentially worrying about the fact that she may not have the strength to do things with her child. And also, sadly, that she may pass away before she even got to see her child grow up. With that said, Sarai decided to tell Abram, her husband, to go and be with her maid Hagar. Now, this was never a good idea because Hagar was younger and it was always going to have the same result, with Sarai feeling inadequate compared to Hagar and Hagar being angry with Sarai and holding malice against her. This resulted in Hagar feeling desolate and ending up fleeing to the wilderness. We learn from this story that God always knows best. His timing, nobody can come against God's perfect timing. He has his perfect timing for every stage in our life. He knows the beginning, he knows the middle, and he also knows the end. It's not for us to sit down and worry about these things because it's always going to be in God's hands. When you leave things in God's hands, you're going to see clear, precise results. You're not going to have to second guess God. You're not going to have to second guess his decision because he does things perfectly. It's not up to us to force God or to try and take control. God doesn't need our assistance. God has a purpose for everything, even the seasons where he's quiet, the quiet seasons, the seasons where we have to wait on him. His timing is not our timing. His ways are not our ways. Today's passage is a reminder for you to always wait on the Lord, even when God has given you the vision and He's told you, this is what I want you to do. Wait for Him to give you the instructions. Don't run ahead of God. Don't try to do things that God hasn't asked you to do. Don't try to compete with others. Don't try to get one over on someone else, because it will always end the same. When God has given you a task and He's told you, this is your portion, this is what your assignment is, take it. Take your assignment and do your assignment to the best of your ability. Do your assignment as if you are literally working for God, because that's what it's all about. My prayer for you today is to continue to wait on the Lord. Wait on the Lord for whatever you've asked Him for. Wait on the Lord until the Lord has shown you what He wants you to do. Wait on the Lord until He answers you. Wait until He gives you His response, a direct response from Him. Never seek to run ahead of Him, because that's when we end up getting ourselves in trouble. Remember, whatever we do outside of God's will, we have to continue being outside of God's will to sustain that. So it's far better, as we've learned from the previous days in this study, to be obedient and follow God's assignment, follow God's plan for your life. I pray that today's study has blessed you, and I look forward to speaking with you tomorrow by God's grace. Have a blessed day today. Bye.